Hello and welcome to Quietly Listening. This is Vivian Gerard
And Henkel. We're so happy to be talking with you today.
we have decided that there's a bit of a mystery around this experience we've created called Quietly Listening. And what we thought would serve is to talk about how this came to be, what it looks like, what it feels like, and invite you into an experience with us every other Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. So what I thought might be helpful is just a little background first on how the idea came up. Sound good?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So last August, I hosted a festival, and when the festival was over, I sat down and had this beautiful time of creating and tuning into what is it I most want to be doing next? What are the experiences I love the most? Who are the people I enjoy working with the most? How am I kind of refocusing my direction? And one of the first things I wrote down in my journal was quietly listening with Viv and Andrea. And it was new. I had no idea what it was going to be. And I was just writing the description in my journal. So I'm actually going to read it to you. This is what I wrote in my journal last August. And then I sent it to Andrea.
I love it.
And I was like, is this what you want to do? And she's like, yes. So here's what I wrote. I wrote, quietly listening with Viv and Andrea. Join healers Vivian Gerard and Andrea Henkel for an hour of sacred listening and realigning your mind, body, spirit before bedtime, every other Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. With Viv holding energetic space and Andrea guiding a community virtual acupuncture session, you can enter the field through sound, a Spotify playlist, and surrender gracefully into your own soul's bliss. If you fall asleep halfway through, trust that your quiet listening is one with your infinite source. So I sent that over to Andrea. I was like, would you be interested in doing this? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I at the same time was thinking, I want to do something with Viv and I want it to be for a group so we can have greater impact. And then I think it might have been like the next day you sent that to me.
It's so perfect. And it's totally what we've created. Don't you feel that?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yes. So here's why I decided that. One was my favorite version of healing is virtual acupuncture. I mean, hands down, hands up, all around. Like that is my favorite form of healing. And then one of my absolute favorite people to work with would be Andrea Henkel. And so it brought my two favorite things together. So perhaps we could start with a description for those who aren't familiar with it, because so many people haven't even tried traditional acupuncture, and there's a mystery around that. Could you perhaps describe what is traditional acupuncture and then how it evolves into virtual?
Sure. So traditional acupuncture is just using needles as a way to tap into the meridian points on the body, which we all have, to help realign the body. And as I was working with more and more people and then working with mentors, one day, one of like the elder mentors like whispered in my ear, you don't really need the needles. And because we're just moving energy, and there's so many ways to do that, which is why there's so many forms of healing in this world and why almost all of them work depending on the practitioner and the patient. And so that kind of opened up this whole new world, especially because there's so much fear around the word needles, even though traditional acupuncture doesn't hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But being able to do it virtually, being able to move energy in that way, I think you can tap into a whole another level with somebody because they can be in a safe space of their home, in bed, and just really open and ready to receive without the trepidation that usually comes with just the word needles or the thought of a needle. And we're all just energetic beings, and so I think there's the illusion that you have to be with somebody to have an effect on them. But there's so many things out there, the power of prayer, Reiki, what you like, your energy and people's intuition. Like there's so many ways to access and work with energy. And this is just one of the beautiful ways to do that.
Hmm. What I love so much when we get into that space every other Wednesday and we get on the phone call, you and I normally talk a little bit before we start, and I'll share with you intuitively, here's what I am seeing with my clients, here's what I feel is shifting for most of us. You know, there's a collective energy field on earth, and here's what I'm feeling we need support with. You can receive that, but then you're like, oh yeah, so what the body's going to need, and then you name in the body what could shift through traditional acupuncture that could get that energy to pop open or get that energy to start flowing again. You have so much body experience of the work that you've done with traditional acupuncture. All of that comes into these sessions with you, and I'm always amazed. I'm like, how did you know that? How did you know that was the area we should be looking at or talking about? Do you have an explanation of how you apply that or bridge the two?
Um, yeah, I was actually thinking about that before, like just knowing we were going to have this conversation. And I was like, wow, well, I was initiated, one of my friends was a Reiki master. So at the age of, I think I was 12, like is where I started on this journey. So I think a lot of it is just years and years of doing this work. And I believe everybody's a healer and everybody can heal themselves and everybody can heal other people. But the more you do it, just like anything else, the more in tune you get to be. And, just doing it, the repetitive, doing it over and over, I got to learn what works and what doesn't. And, the power of intention is just, I think, so powerful. And if somebody's really open and ready to receive healing, then it's beautiful for me as the healer and beautiful for them as the receiver of the healing. Um, Mostly, I would just say it's intuition at this point. It feels like, my brain gets out of the way and source or whatever you want to call it just comes in and just tells me this is what has to shift. And I think just knowing that what all of us need is, at the end of the day, love in its highest form. And so if that's always the focus, no matter what symptoms somebody's experiencing or emotional pain, like if I can hold the intention, and I think you helped me do this, and you're one of the people who showed me that if we can just hold the highest vibration for somebody, it doesn't matter what they're experiencing, they're going to shift to a higher level. And it's just so beautiful because I think, as we talked about on the last Quietly Listening call, we all can get stuck in the mundane. And then when we think about change, go to fear. But if we can help others hold a higher vibration, a higher possibility, and help them remember that, they're so loved and they're so lovable and there's so much here on this earth for them, then we're going to create a shift for the entire group. And I think it becomes more powerful because we're doing it in group session and we're all holding that intention.
Totally agree. Totally agree. I know what we have created is like this. Some people would say a perfect storm where something bad is going to happen. I feel like we've created this perfect cocoon that really allows for such healing and such a sense of being held. We do it right at bedtime, which maybe not everybody goes to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock, but when on this Wednesday night, you're going to lay down and you're going to be the one who is going to be cuddling up and you're going to have energy work done, then your body prepares for that.
Yeah.
So as you lay down, you're settling into a space where you can go right into a really good night's rest. And then you doing your magic and everyone in the community having a matching vibration that pulls us together. Even they don't hear each other, we know it's happening for all. It's just like the perfect combination. And I just am amazed. I, like you said, when we tap into source and that information intuitively comes through, when I wrote that in my journal, I had no idea what it could become. I just had a feeling and the words flowed out. But those words created the structure that have guided us into this practice that is so powerful. So it just validates what I believe you're explaining. It's in us already. We know
Yeah.
what serves us the most, the best. And if we can get our minds out of the way and trust that
Yeah.
flow, it's going to create beauty. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And I think, multiple scientists have said, and law of attraction teachers have said, if right when you wake up and right before you go to sleep is when you can access the subconscious and really shift it. So they say that we should always, hold ourselves at the highest visions for our lives right at that time. So I think it is so perfect to have the call at the time we have it and just allow people then to drift into healing bliss. I love that because we're accessing different brain wavelengths, and it just allows for so many possibilities. And I think we're all put on this earth to impact others and raise each other up. But for you and me, I think that's like so much a part of our purpose that it feels so good to be doing this
Yeah.
work with you and with the people that join us. It's like
Yeah.
brings me like such gratitude and joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I know every time we start the call. So the process is you call into a number that we provide when you exchange. It's $33. You exchange, you get the information in your confirmation email. You call into the number at 9 o'clock on every other Wednesday. And then every time I feel like I say the same thing. I'm so excited. It's Wednesday night. I'm so happy it's quietly listening because I know I'm going to receive just as much as we're giving, if not a
Yeah.
millionfold. Right.
Yeah.
So I already
Yes.
know what I'm about to step into. I mean, it's the smartest thing I've ever done to collaborate with you where I get virtual acupuncture every 2 weeks. I'm so smart. But we call in, and typically by then you and I have a sense of what direction we're going to guide the energy.
Yeah.
And so we'll both say hello, and then I offer reflection about what I feel, and then you offer guidance of, well, you say what you offer there.
I think because I've been in physical medicine for so long, I always am thinking about the cells and, in Western medicine, I think this is shifting a little bit with research, but, there's so much focus on the brain. But what they've discovered is that every cell has like its own mini brain, which means every cell is being affected by every thought, our environment, every input that we have. And so when we're talking about what's going on in the world, I'm always thinking about how that's impacting the body. And then I think it's really important to always work on all levels. So the physical, the mental, the emotional, and also, the ethereal, like the spirit. Um, and so first, I always want to shift the physical because everybody knows the better you feel in your body, the better you usually can feel emotionally, and vice versa, right? It's better if you feel emotionally, even if you're sick, you're going to get better quicker. So I usually start with the physical and create the shifts there and then work to the mental and the emotional. And then I get to go to the ethereal where there's no time or space, and we can really play and really shift and like tap into source or God or whatever anybody's word for that is. It doesn't matter to me. That's just a cultural difference. We all have access to it no matter what we want to name it. And so that's how I think about shifting all the energy.
Mm. Are you actually visualizing people or a body as you're doing that, or what does it look like in your mind's eye?
So it is different every time. Like I said, I do a lot of this. I do have a ton of training in energy medicine, but a lot of this has become intuition the more I trust myself, just from years of experience. So sometimes it feels like the focus has to be more on the physical. So I am visualizing um, bodies, and I see the meridians and how energy is flowing or is stuck. In Chinese medicine, we say that there's areas of deficiency, stagnation, or even too much. So I'm always trying to bring everything back into balance. And so sometimes I'm looking there, but sometimes it could be like an emotional level like right now there's just like a lot of fear in the world. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, how can we drain the fear first from the body? And so then I think about specific acupuncture points that would facilitate that. But then I would think about joy. And to me, joy is a wavelength. Like you can measure it. Just like if I'm thinking about the chakras, like red has a wavelength. That's why we think about it, because you can measure the wavelength of the color red. Or, you know, indigo or whatever we're focusing on during that session. So does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. That's so fun to hear how you see it. I've never asked you that before. Can I tell you what it feels like to receive it?
Yes, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. And this is what's so fun for us too. You know, we've started comparing notes, I guess, after a session, and we're like, you'll tell me what you did and I'll tell you without us, we'll message it where we can't hear the answer yet.
Yes.
And then I'll share what I experienced. And then we listen to each other and we're like, oh, it was the same thing. Which is like a little Christmas present you open up and you're like, oh, it's exactly what I wanted. Right? Yes. So for me, my experience, we are all on the phone line and we do our conversation and then we say goodbye. And I have a playlist prepared that I tune into each night. Like I literally did at 8:00 for a call that starts at 9 because I want to be as close to the moment beginning as possible. And so I'll tune into what is like you talk about the length of the current of the color, the wavelength. For me, it's the same with the sound, the wavelength of the sound and the vibration, the heart resonance of the sound. So I'll put together what I feel would most serve. And so we hang up the phones and everyone's in their own home, their own beds, wherever they are. I usually am here in my office and I'll lay down on the little futon mattress over in the corner. And I pull the covers up really tight and I have my little heater going. I put the music on and then I lay there. And at first I'm really stiff, like, what's she going to do? Right? What's going to happen? And then without, like you said, the brain moves to the side and I can feel the energy starting to move exactly as you'll tell me later you were guiding it. Even though we're hundreds of miles apart, I can feel it in the moment you're creating and visualizing that movement. And so then I start to experience the emotions releasing, the fear moving out, the energy moving through my chakras. This past time, you really connected us through our crowns to source. And so I was able to share with you the vision I had when I was laying with, like the night sky in front of me and all that you were allowing to move through. Bliss is really the best word. When I named it in that description at the very beginning of this journey, it is the soul's bliss. I feel that each time we do these sessions. And sometimes there's an intensity if there's been a lot moving that is heavy or fear-based. Sometimes it starts, like the one time you were working, what is the pericardium? Is that what you call it?
The protector of the heart,
And you had said to us, I'm going to work on it. We're going to open it up. And I was like, oh, my heart chakra's fine. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what's happening in my heart? It is such a gift to what you are able to access and support in the space. And I feel like even though we're co-creating it together, I receive the most beautiful transmission of energy and love and support from you. And I leave each session so profoundly grateful that you exist and that you walk on this planet and that you're my friend and that I get to play with you. It's literally one of my favorite moments each month when we do these sessions. I can't overstate how grateful I am for you.
Oh.
And then I go to bed and I sleep and it's wonderful. And I wake up the next morning and I'm so happy and everyone around me is so happy. I'm happy. How does it feel for you as the facilitator, like that night and the next day, as the healer? What does it feel like?
I think I explained this to you this past Wednesday. It's like sometimes I feel like so far out of my body I can't even talk, but I get to experience pure bliss because I have to hold that for the group. So yeah, it just feels like such an honor to be able to exchange in this beautiful way, to be able to have an impact on others in such a positive way. And like, it doesn't take from me, it's just this like loop of giving and receiving. And I come from such a scientific background, like from engineers. And if you would have told me I would be doing anything like this, I would have thought you were crazy. And sometimes I'm like, am I crazy? But it is such an honor to work with you, and then to get the feedback that, yeah, exactly how I was shifting things was exactly what you were feeling and what other people were experiencing. To be able to have that impact in a way that is so joyful for me, like I said before, just pure gratitude that we get to do this.
Yes, I feel the same way. And I feel like the vibration that we are holding is so steady and so pure and so high vibrational. It's like it's been hard to translate what it is that we do, which is why we both were feeling like we need to explain this. We need to bring this down to earth where people can actually feel what happens quietly listening, because it's just so not what is available anywhere else yet. What you and I are co-creating just doesn't exist anywhere else. And so putting words to it and a framework to it, I think, makes it more accessible for people. So the logistics, right? So it's $33 a person, and we do it every other week. And then for a couple, and we haven't had anybody sign up for this yet, but I have a feeling when people figure this out, we're going to have so many couples that are going to go, it's Wednesday night, quietly listening, let's go to bed. And it's going to be just this, I see it as like a snuggle puddle, like just literally bringing a couple like right into each other's experience, their energy field. Like, I can't imagine the heart chakra of one opening and expanding right next to the heart chakra of another who's in the same call. Like, right? I keep inviting my husband. He's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, you just can't handle the love that is going to come your way. But when he does, oh my. So I feel like for a couple who is ready to up level their partnership and their connection, this is it's just the most beautiful gift. It's $55 for a couple, and you are in your own home with music playing and you doing the work, and you're not even in the room with them. It's so good. So I feel like it's the secret that when people start to understand the power and the impact it can have in their relationships, it's going to become really, really powerful and popular. So you and I feel like we're just beginning, and we've kind of laid the framework, and we're going to be watching how it expands. And I'm just delighting in this journey with you.
Yes, same. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
No, that feels really complete to me.
It does for me too. So you can find it at mysouljourney.com under events, and Quietly Listening is listed there, all the dates and the ways to exchange and the logistics. It all happens through that website. And then you will get to hang out with Andrea and I in this amazing space. Yeah, so good. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.